Welcome back to the COS Business Podcast. My name is Andrew Hasley, and I am the host of the show. Today we have on Chennan Clubine. Can you tell us what you do in like a sentence or two, or can you condense it that little?
I shall try.
Okay.
I am a nurse by trade, and I am a health educator now, living in Colorado Springs. And what I specialize in is informed medical decision making. So I no longer specialize in any sort of oncology or medical field, this, that, and the other. I just do informed medical decision making, which is helping patients or clients understand everything and anything to do with medicine, diet, or health. And I want people to understand the full risk and full benefits of their health care and help them make good decisions. Mm-hmm. So that's it in a nutshell.
I think you described it at 1 Million Cups, the whole enchilada.
The whole enchilada, yes. I consider myself a whole health provider or whole health practitioner. Mm-hmm. So some people only look at diet and some people only look at medicine, where I look at all of it. That's what I mean by the whole enchilada, diet, health, medicine. What is effective? And what I described at 1 Million Cups was, it's great to be kind of on the outside. I was in traditional medicine for a long time, kind of under one tent. And it was difficult to see, other tents like alternative healthcare or integrative health or functional medicine, et cetera, et cetera. And so those are all kind of labels that we give people, and then we all have them work under those pillars, that sort of thing. And I come at it from 10,000 feet almost, from a whole perspective, and go, okay, what is working in traditional medicine that I can then educate others on? This is good, this is bad. What is in alternative health that is good and bad? And let's look at that. What is in functional medicine that is working and not working for people? And then let's, get away from what's not working from people, what's really costly and driving the cost up in healthcare for everyone. And let's look at what is effective and put that all into a hat, is what I called it. And giving that information out to others when they want it.
All right. Well, we're going to dive into that in this episode, but before we do, I'm going to read the advertisements. All right. Okay, yeah. Okay, make sure that's going. Make sure everything's going. Get your water. And the first ad for today is actually my video production company. Our goal is to work with excellent businesses and people who are honest businesses and help them create video strategies and video planning and create good videos for them. That's the main idea. I was gonna read my mission statement this morning for the advertisement for that, but then I forgot it, so I was like, I'm just gonna improvise it.
Of course.
So yeah, that's basically the mission of Vehement Visuals, and that's the first ad of the day. The second ad is actually the advertising space on the show at the beginning of every episode. You can have me read a 15-second to a 30-second ad script about promoting whatever you want to promote at the beginning of every single episode, or however many episodes you so want to sponsor. So that's a unique advertising opportunity, I think, because I read them in front of the guest, and I kind of have been promoting it to do it this way. Like, if you do an ad script, you can even have your ad script interact with the guest if you want. Like, I think that's the unique aspect. I don't think anyone's doing interactive ads like that. Some people might be, but
so if you were going to do an interactive ad for Empowered Informed Health, would it be like, do you have your health today? Like, ask a question.
Well, I would work with the person who's sponsoring, and we'd come up with a way to do that and something that makes sense, and so yeah, we would work it out if we did do that. So what's something that you would want to promote that you think could interact with someone?
What would I want to promote? Chronic health over chronic disease. So
you could be like, Chennan, is it Chennan?
Yeah.
Okay, I started out saying Chennan, so I'm throwing it off in my head. I'd be like, Empowered Health?
Empowered Informed Health.
Empowered Informed Health wants to know, are you empowered and informed with your health?
Yes.
And then I could see what they say, and then that would be the ad, I guess.
Right. Yeah, that could be. I like that. Great.
And we could even brainstorm that and really like figure out something even more fine tuned. But we're not going to brainstorm in this advertisement space right now. All right, so we could brainstorm in the podcast later too if we want, but I gotta go to the next ad, which the next ad actually is just promoting the COS Business Patreon account. We have different tiers that's gonna have different bonus content, and some of the bonus content is gonna be physical content that you get delivered to your house. But it's basically the way I like to summarize Patreon. It's like creators being able to create their own Netflix for their own content, essentially. Because there's monthly tiers that you can make, and you can figure out what you want in those packages. I was thinking about doing wine, but I really don't have to worry about the regulations of shipping wine. There's a bunch of stuff that you have to go through that. And I had a really cool idea with getting a sponsorship with the local wine person here, and I would basically be selling wine, but it would get shipped to your house monthly, but it would have like the Colorado Springs Business Podcast like sticker on it and everything. But that's the Patreon. We're gonna do some creative things with that. So if you'd like to check that out and support the show, the best way to support the show is sponsorships. But if you don't have anything to promote and you want to support the show, the Patreon account is there as well. And it just helps keep the show going, and helps it helps pay for the show.
Support you, because this is a great effort that you've been doing.
Thank
it's
you.
A beautiful location. It's wonderful.
Yeah,
and I know you've got big plans. So let's help you out, Andrew.
I appreciate that. Well, that's the ads for today. I think we have a couple in the works, but we'll get to that when we get to that. And I'm going to roll the intro music, and we'll get started. This is a show where we have real conversations with entrepreneurs and business owners who are mostly in Colorado Springs, doing things in the community of Colorado Springs. Yeah. So Chennan, how's it going?
It's going well. Thank you for inviting me here. This is great.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you on. I know you had some really some ideas you wanted to help get out, share with people. You have a lot more knowledge in certain things than I guess the average person does. And I would love to not only learn about your business, but to dig into some of that if you're willing to.
Yeah, let's do it. I will do my best. If I don't know something, you get to win a prize called Stump the Nurse, and I'll get your prize.
We get a stump?
Yeah, I'm gonna stump.
That would be fun. Yeah, you could throw axes at it. Speaking of which, yeah, Brian Russ Maneth with Jack's Axe Throwing. I haven't really been shouting him out for this wall. He's the one that hooked us up with this wall, and Brian Russ Maneth with Jack's Axe Throwing. Living Lumber, he does a bunch of living stuff. That was a free ad for him right there because he earned it. He deserves it. And I didn't mean to just jump into that after the advertising space. I just violated space code. But yeah, so with your business, we'll start there. Like when did you get started with this business? What made you want to leave nursing and start this business?
That's a really great question. So I'm not exactly sure what was the straw that broke the camel's back that made me want to leave completely out of traditional medicine. I feel like I had to go through a lot of what I'm going to call teachable moments in order for my path to change. So I was very much on the path. I'm a traditionally trained nurse, RN, BSN, and what has always been taught to me was the next level of nursing after you get your 4-year degree is to go and get a higher level of education and maybe become like an NP or a DNP. And I was looking into that quite a bit, actually, because I was very much interested in wanting to help people. But slowly, a lot of things started to happen that I started to see. It was almost like an unveiling process that was laid out in front of me, but almost like the veil started getting thinner and thinner and thinner, and you could see through it until finally the veil was finally gone, and I went, that's what I want to do. This is the path that I need to go towards. And those teachable moments were, like I said, I'm not exactly sure what broke the camel's back. It might have been, the 30-something-year-old gentleman who was a soldier who died in his car because of high blood pressure. That I went, wow, that should have never happened. Maybe it was the patient who I had at a hospital who was an elderly man who was suffering from psychiatric drug-induced side effects, and he was having he was hallucinating off of those that I went, wow, this really shouldn't be happening either.
It was like a psychedelic then.
Oh, sorry. It was like psychiatric drugs,
Yeah.
not psychedelic as in like
yeah, but you said he was hallucinating, so
he was hallucinating. Yes, I see where you're going there. I don't know if it was the babies and the mothers calling me with the problems of the babies, screaming in the background, and the mothers going, I don't know what to do with my child. And they seem like they're constipated, and they seem like they're in a lot of pain. And then the doctor coming back and like prescribing something like Maalox and just kind of like covering up what was really going on with these babies. And I'm not exactly sure what was happening in my professional life that kind of broke things down. And then, like I was talking about in my personal life, what was happening was I was in nursing school, and my father was diagnosed with cancer. And my aunt had previously already passed away from cancer, from a brain tumor. And I went, wow, that's pretty incredible right then and there. And then my father got cancer. It was diagnosed almost after her death. And then he was gone in a few years. And then my mother had a heart attack on Mother's Day when she was 42 years old. And she was alive and during that time period of my dad's cancer, but she had 9 heart surgeries and 10 stents put in place. And that was just like devastating when I was 14 years old, going through like, maybe my mom's going to die, you know? I mean, no one should really have to go through that, but this is what was kind of happening. And then finally, I think one of the turning points for me was in 2018, my sister was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And I went, this really cannot be happening. I am seeing things in my professional life, and I'm seeing things in my personal life that are making me go, I gotta change gears. I gotta figure something out. And what was being encouraged to me, like I said, was going into higher education, maybe a DNP. That's a lot of money. I mean, when you first think about it, it's like $150,000. And I didn't think it was really moving the needle. And I really wanted to make effective change. And so I started looking around at different things that I could do. And I knew that I needed to get more education, though. That was something that was very important. And I knew that we weren't getting the diet right with people. I had figured out that what doctors were often telling doctors, what my own doctor was trying to tell me about diet was not right, or wasn't the most accurate information. So the thought finally occurred to me, if we're getting the diet wrong, what else could we possibly be getting wrong? Could we be getting everything else wrong? And it feels that way. I mean, I don't want to go too much into detail, and I don't want to make it feel like it's so overwhelming, because there are good things about traditional medicine, but how our system is, someone mentioned this at 1 Million Cups. They said it's a cash cow system, right? It's a profit over patient. There's incentives to keep going in this certain direction. Pediatricians make $80,000 in bonuses if they get their pediatric clients all up to their vaccines. So they make, so if all the children are following the vaccine schedule, pediatricians can make $80,000 in bonuses for that.
Bonus?
Yeah, they can make bonuses in that. So if a parent doesn't want to and about 50% of parents no longer follow the vaccine schedule, and they're saying things like, I have questions about these, and you should question everything. I'm not just talking about vaccines. You should question labs. You should question tests. You should question procedures. You should question surgeries. You should question the need for that. You should ask for the evidence of that. And that's just being a good consumer. It's how you buy a car, right? You have to start thinking about healthcare in terms of, this is a product, and we need to know if this is good or bad. How do you buy a car? What are some questions that you may have?
Does it work?
Yeah, does it work?
Does it get me to A to B? That's the main thing.
Yeah. What's the sticker price of that?
Oh,
right?
Yeah, the cost. Yeah.
What's the cost of it? And am I getting the wool pulled over my eyes because they're marking it up so high than what the manufacturer cost? Right? Does it work? Is it of good value? Is it going to keep me safe? Is it going to keep my family safe? We should have those same kind of questions in healthcare. Is this drug going to be effective? Is it
And no
safe?
one questions it though, because they don't know anything. They don't know what a doctor knows.
Right. So imagine if you were going to go buy a car and someone with a white coat came out, so to speak, and very authoritatively said, okay, I'm going to do a little assessment on you and your family and figure out what's going on. And let's see. So I see you're a young man, and I know you want maybe something flashy, but, maybe we could be conservative about this. and maybe they're taking money from like Kia, I don't know. And so you're coming in to buy a BMW maybe, but because the doctor's taking money from the Kia people, he comes out here, Kia Sorento for you. I mean, like things like this is kind of how healthcare works, is that the doctors are kind of influenced. There's a lot of conflict of interest, and they're being influenced in different ways. From different organizations. It's not just like big pharma. I mean, I know everyone loves to hate big pharma. That's not how it's working, but they're being influenced in this way. And so instead of getting you to what is effective, or maybe listening to what is going to be supportive of you, they're listening to other entities that are influencing their decision making and passing that on to you.
And that's solely because of the money incentives, you think?
Can be, yes. That in a lot of ways, and I can vouch for this on my nursing training. My nursing training did not teach me how to do effective medicine. It didn't teach me how, I got to learn things. I got to learn about Lipitor, America's #1 selling drug. I got to learn things like that's a or anti-cholesterol medication. And I got to learn and see that how it lowered cholesterol on your numbers, right? And I got to see that, and I was like, ooh, that's cool. And I got to learn about statin drugs, and I got to learn about all these other drugs and what category they were in and what kind of general side effects they have, and learn important skills like when to go to the doctor to say, hey, something's not right here. That's an important skill to have. I'm not saying that that's wrong. But I am saying that I was not taught things that were probably more meaningful to a patient, like Lipitor, #1 selling drug, going to do probably $1 trillion in sales this year. It keeps going up. There's a generic brand, it's great. It's a, great selling drug.
Heart disease is the #1 cause of death, right?
Well, in Colorado, cancer has now outdone heart disease. It's the ellipsed heart disease now, and there's a reason for that. But Lipitor, I mean, I wasn't taught things in my education about how effective is that medication. That's something that you would want to ask as a patient. How effective is something? And if the doctor can't tell you, you need to ask for that information. And if the pharmacist can't tell you, then that's a big problem.
Yeah.
It's a really big problem.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to come to me, although I'd be more than happy to, because if they don't have that evidence for you, I certainly do. And I can show people, the Lipitor, #1 selling drug in America, but its effectiveness about how it will reduce your chances of having a cardiac event in your lifetime is only 1.2%.
What the hell?
Yeah, right. And Crestor is another one. That'll reduce your chances of a cardiac event by 1.6%.
And you have the stats for that. Wow. Where does these stats come from?
The manufacturers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
They've got to be able, they have to disclose this information. They do. So sometimes you get like a written copy.
The manufacturers have scientists or doctors on their team to test all this stuff.
Yeah, generally what happens is the manufacturers, the pharmaceutical companies, go to the FDA and get these medications approved. And the FDA will approve it, more than likely, because they approve 98% of all drugs that come in. That's kind of high. And then when you think wow, are we really doing that great? I mean, I admire Americans' ingenuity. I admire their innovation. I admire the technology. But 98% approval rate, wow, right? We're just killer on
we
it.
must be creating some really good products.
Really great products.
Yeah.
But when you start kind of pulling back the veil and looking for things like conflicts of interest, what you find is millions and millions of dollars from the manufacturers are going to the FDA. And now the FDA can't even say that they're a regulatory agency. They're not a regulatory agency. You can't even find that on their page. It says they are a partnership. And if you pull up the FDA, FDA.gov or whatever it is on the website, you'll see that it has language that says we partner with pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So does it starting to make sense how we got here, right? Because everyone has I always try to explain to people, we all have a very intimate relationship with big pharma. It's evident when I go and I open up your medicine cabinet. So I mean, it's right there in front of it. Big pharma gives to educational entities. Colleges and universities. Big pharma gives to political parties. Big pharma gives to what else? FDA and government entities. So they have their hands in many, many pots.
Who is Big Pharma?
Merck, GSK, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Moderna. I mean, there's so many pharmaceutical companies. And so when we say Big Pharma, we're lumping everything together, all of those.
And so when they donate to education, donate to politics, that helps them be in more favor with those people who helps promote what they do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Why, if I'm going to a school and I'm supposed to be getting education, if my university is taking money from Big Pharma, do you think that instructor is going to turn around and say, well, just so you know, we're taking money from this company, but and we can't say anything bad about the product. It's a conflict of interest, right? Mm-hmm. And so universities are less likely to, if they're going to say
they're
yes.
Probably getting it's not just like they're getting like a small donation. They're getting huge.
Right.
A part of their school relies on that probably.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge conflict of interest, taking money from pharmaceutical companies. So you have to like take a step back as a consumer and say, do these entities have our best interests at heart? And where I differ with Empowered Informed Health is I am entirely self-funded. I do not take money from big entities. I am self-funded because I work for the patient. I work for the client. They, money to me goes to buy my children's socks.
Yeah.
Which, thank you.
Yeah.
Because my kid's getting bigger.
Yeah.
Every day.
Sweet. Yeah. So what do you think this is heading? Do you think in 10 years things will be aligned better with how people actually need?
I think things are changing right now.
Yeah.
I think...
like a full transformation, do you think?
I think there is a revolution coming. Mm-hmm. I think it is a revolution of education. I think what is happening, this unveiling process that happened with me, it only happened, by the way. I was talking about those teachable moments. Let me get back to this teachable moment really quick. Okay. So in 2018, I suffered a miscarriage, and it happens, and we don't know why, and sometimes it happens. It doesn't mean that it had anything to do with my diet or anything to do with anything. It happened. And it was a great empathy moment because now I could relate to all my clients who were also having miscarriages. But you go into a little bit of a funk, and I was in a little bit of a funk for a while, and I was just coming out of that funk. And I decided, I kind of want to go out and have fun. And I turned to my husband and I said, let's go out to have fun. We went to the Chili and Frijoles Festival in Pueblo. Nice. And I kid you not, there's all these cars everywhere and all these people. And I decided to walk into the festival from returning some merchandise to my car. And I'm walking across the street and a driver comes around the corner and whacks me. And so, and it wasn't just like any...
With their car?
Yeah, with their car.
Oh.
So I got hit by a car.
Oh, no.
I got hit by a car as I was walking across the street, and I was bruised from yin to yang, from my shoulder to my knee on my left side, and it just happened. Bad things happen.
Yeah.
But I say that because 3 days later, I was lying in bed. I'm off work. I don't know what to do because I was in a rat race. I literally was in a rat race in a wheel spinning for a while because I'd come into work every day. I do 25 to 35 T-cons or telephone consults is what we call them. Mm-hmm. I'd be helping as many people as I could, putting in an IV here or there, helping out another nurse. And it was just I'd work all day only to come back and do it again the next day. Mm-hmm. Our patient count never went down, our patients weren't ever moving towards health. They were just staying inside the system. And I was a part of that system. And I really do truly believe that it takes sometimes, I really truly believe this, Andrew, that I think God sent the truck to me. Because I wasn't listening. He was giving me a lot of signs beforehand. He was like, hey, your dad's not doing so well, your mother's not doing so well, your sister's not doing so well, your aunt's not doing so well, all these other people you're seeing are not doing so well, you need to stop. Yeah. So, and it literally had to send a truck to me to hit me to knock some sense into me. Yeah. And it happened, and I was laying on my bed, and I go, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I got this email from my mentor, and she said, hey, I was taking some classes from her, and I had not turned in my final paper yet. And she said, hey, how you doing? I just want to know if everything's okay. And I went, oh my God. And I was like, oh, I got out of bed, because I was in that funk for even more after that. I said, and a light went off in my head, and I said, this is great. And so I decided that after I came back from 6 weeks off, and I had to have this time of reflection. And I think because of COVID in the lockdowns, we had to have, as a society, we had that time to reflect.
Oh, yeah.
And people started
To break out of-
asking questions, and they started understanding, because it broke the rat race
Yep.
for so many people. We get into a routine, take care of the kids, take care of the dog, go to work, do this, et cetera, play video games, go on Netflix, whatever. And it's
so easy to get caught in that and stuck in it as well.
Yes. And so many people started to look for answers. Why is this happening? And there was fear, and there was fear mongering, but there was also lots of people.
So people asking themselves and a fear driver at the same time.
Yes, going, what is this? What is going on? Yeah. And they started looking for information. And a lot of people started going, this is not making sense. I mean, a lot of people found that Anthony Fauci on March 26th wrote... Oh, yeah, is it? Yeah. Well, okay, well, check this out, my friend. This is what you got for your birthday present this year. Yeah. Anthony Fauci and Redford, what's the bucket? Or, gentleman from WHO. I'm having a brain fart. Yeah. Don't get me on that one, people. Wrote a letter in the New England Journal of Medicine saying then, March 26th, that coronavirus, COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2, was no worse than seasonal flu. That's what they wrote. But Anthony Fauci got on TV and the White House, and that's not what he said. And none of the journalists called him out. And a lot of people saw that or figured that out. And they went, this isn't making sense. How can you have this? It can be one or the other. Either COVID-19 is bad or not, right? And you good or not, or worse than seasonal flu or not. So it's really interesting to me that those sort of questions, and people started to question the data from early on.
Do you think it's important that maybe we should have been worried about the flu a little more before?
No, I mean, the flu happens, right? And we have a vaccine for that, and yet the flu still happens. So that's an interesting thought. The history of human beings on this planet have always had viruses, bacteria, and things to deal with. People who are the healthiest often survive, have, increase their chances of survival. So I understand when people are talking about, when I have chronic disease, I have this, that, and the other, I'm a little bit worried about COVID. Okay, I understand. I'm a little worried about flu. Okay, let's get your body to a point where your body can handle this a lot better.
Yeah, and I know someone who died from the flu a few years ago. It's like, why weren't we panicking then? Is what I was thinking. Like, why weren't we panicking then?
Right. And I love how you use the word panic, because there is a term called panic medicine. And in 2009, panic medicine was used to kind of gin up the flu pandemic, H1N1 going around then.
Medicine that benefits from panic.
And it's called panic medicine, and there are journal articles out there. I'd be happy to show anyone this. I do a whole presentation on this, and I show people this is the term panic medicine, so you can recognize it. And it's really important to know that medicine is now using the media as a part of a way to gin
evil
up.
Evil scientists.
Well, I don't know about evil scientists. I mean, there's definitely scientists who are not behaving ethically.
Well, imagine, like, you're thinking, like, I don't care, this is going to make me $1.2 trillion.
Right, because again, Big Pharma is also giving money to a lot of these journal articles and journal magazines and different things like that, and as well to the scientists. And so I think that's interesting. And if people are going to look for, so that's part of my informed medical decision making, is looking for these conflicts of interest and pointing them out. And there are certain key players in this whole COVID thing that have conflicts of interest that I don't think anyone really pointed out, but there is a fabulous book out there. I'm going to be a little biased because it kind of is written by my boss, but it's called COVID Operation. It's written by Pamela Popper, Dr. Popper, and Mr. Pierre. A really great book. It kind of ties everything together as to how and why this is going on, and I highly recommend it. I bought it because I want to have a record of this time period, because I think this is going to go down as, when people say remember the Holocaust, people are going to start saying remember 2020, remember 2020. And the meaning of that is going to be that we need to pass this information on to our children so they can understand and recognize that there was a playbook here. And this is what happened. And you need to go back and understand this so it doesn't happen again to future generations. Because, it wasn't that long ago.
Well, we're definitely going to be learning something.
Oh, yeah.
From this.
It wasn't that long ago that, the Holocaust was happening. And there's propaganda and all sorts of, and there was censorship going on now.
Not
and
even
there's
100
censorship
years
going on
ago.
here. Not even.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. This is fire.
So yes, we need, so if you want to have a record or you want to know more yourself and you want to get unbiased, trusted information from a source without conflicts of interest, I say go buy the book. I can't remember how much it costs. I know it's on Amazon to have a record for yourself and for your children's children.
Book is?
COVID Operation.
And you had another book you were promoting, False Alarms?
Corona False Alarm. I can't remember the two married couple scientists who put that together, but that was written first in Germany, and so it was in German from a German perspective first about what was going on. Fabulous books. It's about facts and figures. So if you are a dork like me, which there's nothing wrong with us dorks, okay? Please go get that book.
Do you think
it's great?
I don't know if this might be a good piece of content for you to create. You could do like a book summary of that, like a video that really summarizes everything inside of it. I'm not trying to give you work, but I mean, I think that would be awesome for not only promoting your message, but it could be even good promotional content for your business.
We'll have to talk about that because when it comes to me and writing, I'm doing okay. It's just like, okay, I sit down to write and the baby goes funky.
And I'm not saying hire me to do the video. I'm saying you could do the video yourself. Just set up the tripod. I mean, if you want to hire me to do the video, that's fine too. But let's do it. But yeah, it was just I like giving out ideas that I think could be helpful for your message, and also help. I would like to. I don't read, so I would like to read that book, but I probably won't ever. But if I had a video summary, I would definitely watch that.
Yeah, it's worth it. So just so you know, Pam Popper does video clips.
Okay,
and
nice.
So she's been doing, before this whole COVID thing, it was like twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And she'd talk about a whole variety of topics. Let's talk about, vitamin C for cancer patients or hyperbaric treatments or paleo diet or whatever you wanted to know about. And so that was just things, she's a content producer. She's a naturopath. She has a background in business. She's been doing what I've been doing for 25 plus years. She's great at it. She's a wonderful mentor and friend to have. And so I get to call her my friend, which is wonderful. And she's been doing those video clips, and then COVID hit. And there's so much information and so much content that she started doing it 4 days a week. And she went from something like, I think 3,000 emails a week to 10,000 emails a week on this. So a lot of questions, a lot of things that are going on. And so she was doing these videos, and people needed a bright spot to turn to because her doing the videos, she was getting information back to saying that this is the only thing keeping me going right now is watching and waiting for your videos to come out. And I thought that was so incredible. It really told you about what is really going on in our society right now. So her
YouTube channel blew up on that?
Oh yeah, I think I watched her subscribers that were around 50,000 subscribers hit 106,000. Or 107,000 now when I last checked.
I've noticed
in
a few channels blew up because they started doing that.
Yeah.
There's a couple people who were talking about the stimulus, and they've done stimulus updates every day since March. Like wild. Like I didn't even know that there's so much to talk about the stimulus for that.
Yes.
But they've done updates on that every day, and I watched their channels go, or at least one of them go from 10,000 subscribers to like 500,000. It's crazy. Obviously people are more like money more than their health, so people those channels blew up bigger.
But that tells me that people want information.
Yes.
That the culture is switching, and some of it's good. I mean, I'm sorry, like the NFL is what it is right now. We can't look at sports and things and entertainment as well, but it tells me that I think our culture wants more information, and I think that is a good thing. I just think that people need to be able to scrutinize that and be able to get good information. If you want good information about healthcare, go on a Wellness Forum Health. Dr. Pam Popper's video
Popper.
clips. Dr. Pam Popper is her name. And look up those video clips. And it's interesting because 6 months ago when she said, made some claims about what she thought COVID was, people like went off. They're like, no, you're wrong. And now those people are kind of turning around and going, oh, actually, yeah, this isn't looking like what I thought it was.
But I like noticed recently, though, there's a bunch of people who are going back into that mind panic state.
Yeah, because they're getting told again, right?
There's
like
a rise of cases.
Right.
And like I've noticed, like without even the media saying a rise of cases, I've noticed just in the people in my network a rise in cases. I don't know what that means, but I do notice a rise in cases.
Right. And this is why, again, it's very important to be informed and to be a good informed medical consumer, because you're trying to unpack like what's going on here, right? And you should know a few things. One is there's no gold standard for testing. There's no, there's in a virus, let's just say in a virus, and this is an RNA virus, so it looks like, half of a DNA virus. There can be anywhere from 8,000 to 10,000 base pairs. And those base pairs are AC, TG, like can you remember high school, adenosine, thiazine, AC, TG. And I don't know if I want to go into all of that just yet. But so think about this virus has, maybe 30,000 base pairs to it. So it's really big and it's long, but no one has sequenced it that I can find. If you can find it, show me. But the information that I have and the best research I have not found the whole sequence to this thing yet. And I would like to have it. We have it for other things, for other viruses, but we don't have it for this. From end to end, 30,000 base pairs. Well, what's happening when you go from 30,000 base pairs, and then you have something to compare it to you shrink it down for the PCR test, and you only have like 30 some odd base pairs to look at. How do you catch a bad guy?
I don't know.
Fingerprints.
Okay.
So let's imagine a full set of 10 is the 30,000 base pairs. And if you want to catch a bad guy who comes and robs your house, maybe you'll get a fingerprint, right? And maybe you're lucky and you get a full 10, right? And you can catch a bad guy that way. What happens, and when you put that information into a big database,
well, you only need one fingerprint, right?
Well, I don't know. Well, I don't know. Let's talk about this. So maybe I'm not this is not a bad analogy, but I'm going to try and educate this, right? So so let's say you get a full 10 set fingerprint. You nab the guy, right? You get them. They're in the database. You got them. That's the guy who robbed my house. Give me back my TV, right? Now, let's say you can only do a partial fingerprint on the left hand of your thumb area, and it's just a partial. Well, you put that, maybe my thumbprint looks like your thumbprint. Maybe this little partial thumbprint looks like all these other thumbprints. All of a sudden, you get a rise in cases of potential people who might have robbed your house if they're in a big database.
Is they're only checking part of the code?
Correct.
And that's not accurate?
Correct.
Okay.
Or it's popping positive. The other interesting thing to me that is going on, that has been going on for a long, long time, is they're using what is called an antibody test, IgG or IgM kind of antibody test. And I think it's really interesting because antibody tests means that when you pop positive for that, that's a good thing. It doesn't mean that you have an active infection going on right now necessarily, but it could mean that you've already had the coronavirus or a similar type virus and you're good. And that's the other thing that's going on. So can you imagine now why we have like a rise in cases? There's other things going on. Like instead of counting one person, they're counting cases by encounter, not by per person. So if you get tested today and then 3 days later you get retested and you're both positive that whole time, you get counted twice. So that's you have two cases, but you're one person.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Right, that doesn't make sense at all. Oh, and just so you know, you can get tested. You can test positive for up to 6 months.
Yeah. So a lot of people who have gotten tested 27 times. That's 27 results.
Yeah, you can, and it's interesting because you can test positive one way and then negative the other way, and that's exactly what happened to Governor DeWine in Ohio. He tested positive in the morning, and I think it was convenient because he was going to go have a meeting with the president, and then he conveniently tested negative in the afternoon.
Oh, conveniently. Yeah.
Conveniently. Don't you wish we were all like that? Don't you wish we could tell that to our bosses?
Yeah.
Right. So do you kind of get what's going on here? It's not really about a virus anymore.
For sure.
So what is it more about? What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I don't know. There could be lots of things that are going on behind the scenes. Money incentives. There could be just a general fear over panic, over fear of misinformation, and it's just boiled up. It could be no incentives at all, and just people's emotions got a hold of the nation, the globe.
Yeah, it could be. And you're right there. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of emotion in this. And just for the record, like, I'm not denying that there isn't a virus out there. I'm not saying that I'm a virus denier or anything like that. I think there is something out there. And it's interesting to hear and listen. And I know someone out there is going to be like, but Chennan, you're not working the floor. You don't see with your eyes. I have COVID patients, by the way.
Okay.
My own grandmother had COVID. I understand this. That sort of thing, and I've seen it, and people have talked to me, and I know. So I'm not saying like I'm a virus denier out there, but you bring up a really good point. There's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of fear mongering being used, and there's a lot of misinformation going on, and it's nothing new, Andrew. It's nothing new. It's been going on for decades. Like I said, panic medicine was being used back in 2009, 2010 time frame, and
I think a lot of people have benefited.
We're here again.
A lot of people have benefited from the shutdowns. I mean, a lot of people have obviously not, but it's more of an incentive for them to not really, try to push for it to be over.
Yeah, right.
Some people actually found out that they love being isolated.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna. You have something there. Yeah. There have been silver linings in this, right? So so
it can be hard for people to let go of it, I think.
Right, and there has been a whole culture shift, and we have entered into a Corona economy, right? And there is some silver linings.
There was
to
Corona
this.
tax at the restaurant I went to the other day. They literally had like tax Corona tax.
Really?
Yeah, I guess for cleaning, sanitation, or whatever. They were taxing for Corona, and they literally called it a COVID tax.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is it for a restaurant?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I totally
for
understand
a restaurant makes
that.
sense, yeah.
Because so now we're all taxing into this, right? So now we all have to pay into this. Oh, that's so much fun. That's great. I love that. It's so
I can understand why they're doing it, but I'm just saying it's still crazy.
Right. From a restaurant's perspective, if I was a restaurant owner and I'm being told, okay, not only do you have to now, create all the social distancing, yada, 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 but now you have to go out and pay for the little plexiglass things and put that all out everywhere.
Extra staff
you have
to
pay
clean everything.
Right. Yeah, I can understand why a restaurant owner would just be doing it. So I think it's time for restaurant owners to kind of band together and to start thinking about organizing and thinking about if they want some representation or not. And if you do, please email me.
Nice.
I can help you at Clubine, CLUB as in boy, INE, .Collins, COLLINS @gmail.com.
You heard it here. All right, cool. I'm actually going to have to start wrapping this up. I would love to talk for another couple hours, but I have a lot of meetings today. So is there anything specifically that you would like to promote before we do wrap it up?
I think the thing that I want to say to people is it's unfortunate, but COVID is nothing new. Medical error is the third leading cause of death in the United States.
Okay.
And the CDC does not acknowledge this. You will not find it on their website, and when they have a list of the top 15 killers, medical error is not there. And that was long before COVID happened. And so there has been a lot of things happening in the background that maybe have come to light now. And I think people are starting to see it. They're starting to know it. They're starting to understand it. And they want help. And I can help them with that. No one's going to trust their doctor after this. Or hardly anyone's going to trust their doctor after this.
Yeah, a lot of trust has been falling in a lot of areas.
Exactly.
Outside of just medical, too.
So it's time for a revolution.
Yes.
And this revolution is going to be a revolution of education. It doesn't have to be a violent revolution. It can be a revolution of education. And people, it's time to get informed. And I can help with that. Let's do it.
For sure.
Chronic health. Let's go for chronic health instead of chronic disease.
Yes. I read once, one time I asked Google, I didn't read it, but I guess I read it. But I almost said it like it was an article. I asked Google what are the top causes of death. and like number 3 was death. I'm like, what? Yeah, okay. I didn't understand what that. I don't know if it was a glitch or, but I thought it was.
Maybe it was
quite
accidents or injuries or something.
Someone commented said that they thought it was like old age or something, but I was like, death. I think that's the number one cause.
We would love to live to a nice, ripe old age. You should live every day until you die.
Yes.
Like that's how life is supposed to work. You should not have the slow progression into disease and sickness and all that sort of things. And babies should not be suffering of eczema and constipation and ear infections. That's not normal development for children. Elderly should not be suffering from muscle weakness and this, that, and the other. It's not normal, people. Please let us help you.
I had someone on here. I know I said I was about to end this, but I'm about to end it soon. I had someone on here recently, Flip Aguilera.
I love Flip.
Yeah. He said, I think it was him. He said with a diet change, he helped someone heal their eczema.
Right.
Just with a diet change.
Right. Because it's dietary base.
Yeah.
Right.
Crazy.
Right. That may not be the only thing, but that is one modality, and I'm really glad that Flip was able to do that because eczema is not normal.
Okay.
And that is a red flag. And if your child is suffering with eczema, we need to talk.
For sure.
And I'd love to help.
Yeah. All right. So we'll wrap this up. This is the COS Business Podcast here with Chennan. I said Chennan. I can't not say Chennan. I don't know why. But yeah, we'll see you guys on the next episode, and have a good rest of your day.